what is the year you can remember? 1936, 37?
37 maybe. I saw this, my guru, my teacher, crying.
Yes.
I said, if there is a will, there is a way.
So that house would have been built about 30, 40 years earlier?
Somewhere around 1850.
Right.
The cultural beauty of those times, we have abandoned, but there is nothing to replace. The lawyer, he knew me, and when I passed out, he proposed his niece should get married. Marvelous time, 6 whole years, 2 contracts. Ceylon Electricity Board, Minister appointed me as chairman of, say about 850 who are there now. About 75 orphans must be employed, either self-employed or with somebody else. The purpose is not actually the number of years you are going to live, what you are going to do with your life.
Thank you so much for joining the program. And we have a very special person today, and I am meeting him in his Colombo residence. So that is Mr. SACM Zubair. Mr. Zubair, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining the program. And then let's start from your humble beginning. You hail from Akurana.
By saying humble beginnings from Akurana, pretty humble in some ways, because I was born at a time when the world was going into a chaotic scenario, 1933. It was about 4 years after Hitler took over Germany. And so the world was getting into some sort of a turmoil.
So you were born in 1933?
1933. Right? And my parents are long-standing members of the Akurana community. My mother has a connection to a Paragamana village somewhere in Mayangana area. My father, of course, maybe about 5 generations prior to that from Akurana. He was always into education. He wanted education. So he himself learned a certain amount of English by going to a night school in Kandy.
Right. So your father's name?
Sayyid Abdul Qadir.
So that's where SACM comes from?
That's right.
Okay.
SACM, Sayyid Abdul Qadir.
Yeah.
He goes as MAS, Wisdemy Adakpe Lage Sayyid Abdul Qadir. Now the Wisdemy Adakpe is a large family.
So that's the Vasagama?
Yes, Vasagama.
Yeah.
And my mother's side also there is some Vasagama name. I mentioned earlier about Paragamana, that
Yeah.
they call it PM family or something. Whatever it is, it's a well-entrenched Akurana families, right? In a sense, it's not somebody who moved in there relatively recently. They've been there for a long time. And Akurana from a young days always was a location for concentration on learning. Because, learning not in the traditional, the European sense, but in the Islamic sense. There are so many Malavis who had gone abroad, gone to other parts of Sri Lanka and had studied. And it was, even at that time, it was called Shiru Makkah, that means a small Mecca, because there were so many learned people in there.
So this is you are talking about in the 1940s?
1930s and 40s.
So what is the year you can remember? 1936, 37?
37, maybe something like that, because I used to go to a small, what we call a Pali Kudam, that is where you learn animal Quran.
Yeah.
You know, the Alif Be Te.
Yes.
Those things. We used to go up to the one and only masjid in Kurana per se, is what is now called the Grand Mosque.
Yes.
Or the Talepalli.
Palayapalli, yes.
Talepalli, all kinds of appendages are put onto that. But that was the place.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I think they had chosen that because they're very high point in the landscape, in the mountain sort of thing.
Yes.
Mountains or hill, if you like.
Yeah.
I surmise that was because when you recite the Vangi, call to prayer,
Yeah.
it can be heard in a larger area.
Yes.
Because it is being shouted out from
The mountain.
or recited from the top of the hill. So
Right.
that was where the location of the masjid was,
Right.
what they call the Palayapalli now.
Right.
And we used to walk up there, maybe about 20 of us, and we were taught by a very famous Akuranite called Malawi Saulathi.
Saulathi Hajar.
Saulathi Hajar, who himself had, I think, finished off somewhere in 1930 or 31. He had gone to South India, Kilakare someplace, he had gone to Makkah and studied in the university called Saulath, so it's called the appendix Saulathi is given to graduate of that. He was a Hafiz, and he used to teach us that when I say community politics, it's not Muslim community politics, but politics of a collection of people. They want him there. So they maneuvered, and I still remember as a very young boy, maybe 6 years, I saw this, my guru, my teacher, crying on a Friday because these other people were saying, no, you should stop this. So on. So that was the, end of our Pallikudam.
Right.
And I must have been the youngest boy there. It was just hardly, I can hardly remember the incidents of going there and so on. Then after that, of course, I went on to the tennis school in Akurana, which is now called Azhar Vidyalaya. It was a government tennis school, tutored by mainly people from Jaffna, Tamil teachers.
Yeah. So it was Tamil medium.
Tamil. Those days there was, it was just, they didn't have specific Tamil medium, singular medium as per se.
Yeah.
Unlike the present where they have bureaucratic demarcation, if you like.
Okay.
They didn't have that.
Okay.
They were teachers for Tamil because the vast majority of people were Tamil.
Yeah.
But we were taught a certain amount of English where I would say just the alphabet and so on, nothing to talk about English.
Right.
Or for that matter, unheard of about even Sinhala. Because we were very, very unfamiliar with Sinhala, except for people who come to work and so on, the Sinhala people. So those were my pretty early days. Then war broke out in 1939, World War II.
Yeah.
That brought in a whole manner of impact on the community. Shortage of food. I still remember the school, they used to plant manioc, grow this manioc, or cassava, as I think it's elsewhere it's called that. Grow it, pull out the yams from the ground, chop that into tiny slices, dry it, then make a sort of flour out of it, which is again used to make a roti or something, because there was shortage of rice.
Right.
And rice was the staple of Akurana. Anywhere you go, you must have rice. Right? Even bread, the pangedi, as they say, you can buy in a shop. Those were also scarce because of the
war.
Because of the war situation. Ships were not coming into Parambu, not bringing in food stuff and so on.
So at that time, tell me about what transport was like in...
Oh, transportation.
Yeah.
Transportation, they had, I think, buses.
Yeah.
But, it's a very archaic bus system. Well, archaic not at that time. That was the current bus system. Where you had the driver, adjoining him were a couple of seats. Then next to him was another set of seats. And the back, you had to get in from behind. So it's like, I think, the development of a horse carriage.
Okay.
Right. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, try to develop that way. So if you sit next to the driver, you are in what is called a box seat. Right? Maybe it was a box.
Okay.
But they had a cushion and so on.
Right.
So that's the sort of bus that you had.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the engines and so on, pretty ancient technology. Then the bullock cart was the other major mode of transportation. When I went to St. Anthony's College subsequently, occasionally I used to go in this bullock cart to school.
Right. So your parents arranged it for you?
Yes, yes. Then at that point, from Kurugoda, who would I call it? Yeah, I think it was called Muhammad. About 3 or 4 of those boys went to St. Anthony's. They used to have a cart. And my father arranged for me also to join them.
Okay.
They start from Kurugoda.
So you have to walk to the main road,
Oh, yes.
Masha Allah road, and then meet there.
Yes, yes. We lived in a place called Melchena, now they call it Melchena, the neighbor passed over.
Yeah.
So we had to come walking downhill.
Right.
There was some steps. My father was the sort of, what they call village council.
Yeah.
He was a member.
Yeah.
He was very keen on infrastructure development.
Okay.
So instead of having to slide down footpaths, he arranged for some stone steps to be constructed.
Okay.
So we used to just walk down and climb back in the evening.
Right.
So we had to come down that.
Mm-hmm.
I had to come down. I was the only one going. Join up with this cart. Go along. Occasionally we used to say if the cart was not going, get into a bus. That has to be, if you miss the bus, you maybe don't get another bus till the school is over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Okay. Tell me a bit about the home environment.
our house.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is my mother's house, in the sense my mother's mother,
Yeah.
because my mother's sister also lived in the same house.
Okay.
And if you like, the architecture of the house
Yeah.
was a set of rooms surrounding an open area in the
Yeah.
middle.
Yeah.
Right? So
They
from
still
this-
have some one or two.
some
Yeah.
of those
Yeah.
like that.
Mm.
So you find this, you enter the front
Yeah.
of the house and
Yeah.
you get the sort of,
Yeah.
they call it madua,
Mm.
sitting area.
Sitting area. Yeah.
Then you go on either side of this central open area and you
Yeah.
find rooms going in, and the back, another area where they used to pound paddy
Yeah.
and make rice out of
Oh,
the
in
paddy.
that middle thing.
They used to
Okay.
do that.
Okay,
And,
right.
so that's the architectural layout of
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah. Yeah. So that house would have been built about
Oh,
30, 40 years earlier?
even much earlier than that.
In the
I would say.
1800s?
Yeah, 1800s. I would put it somewhere around 1850,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Because, as a young boy, I
Yeah.
could see the various defects in the house.
Yes.
When it rains, certain areas
Yeah.
begin to leak and
Yeah.
all sorts of things
Yeah.
like that. So it's a single story,
Yes.
bungalow type,
Yeah.
no upper floor.
Yes.
But there were certain houses, shall we say, upscale houses, where they had an upper floor, but they didn't have sufficient space for a standard staircase that you might have now. So it was a very steep staircase, and they used to have a manila rope hanging from there. You hang on to that rope and
Yeah.
go up, otherwise you tend to collapse and fall.
Yeah, they call it anybody.
Anybody, yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cultures and activities. And what do you do leisure time? You come home and relatives come and talk and what was like?
Relatives coming and going is a routine.
Yeah.
Somebody
There
will
is no
drop in.
permission required.
No permission required. If lunchtime they come, lunchtime can be anything from 12 to 2:30, 3 o'clock. Really at that time, the culture was totally involved with the religious side of it.
Right.
So you talk about Nomu Masam,
Yeah.
that is the Kramura
Yeah.
month. Then you talk about Kandil Masam,
Mm.
Pernal Masam, Haji Pernal Masam. So it's all
Linked to the religion.
to the religion and the practice of the religion,
Mhm.
not just a theoretical thing. So
Okay.
that religious scenario also goes into the daily life. That is, you say Asarik Wambo.
Mhm.
That means come at Asar time.
Yeah.
It's a marker for the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time marker. if you
Time
like,
markers.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So that was that. And therefore, as I said, festival time, Ramadan. Ramadan is a major event for the year,
Yeah.
the month of Ramadan.
Yeah.
My father used to lead Tarawih prayers in our house.
Yeah.
They were small fellows, so we used to have ladies from the surrounding areas
Right.
who would come. And there is a congregation, possibly about total of 15 or 16 people.
Right.
My father used to lead the prayer all the
Right.
time. And it goes on like that. And then, as I said, Kandiri Masam,
Yes.
you have reciters, all of the reciters. You see, thinking back, retrospect, I think we have abandoned those cultures. The cultural beauty of those times, we have abandoned, but there is nothing to replace. There is no replacement, substitute for that.
Yeah.
So that culture has been lost. You know, where we sit, you know how to recite small, tiny little kitabs in the hand,
Yeah.
and you recite Mawlud, you
Yeah.
stand up and say, Ya Nabi,
Yeah.
Salaam Alaikum, you know, all that. And
Yeah.
Ratib,
Yes.
recite Ratib, where
Yeah.
they beat the small
The drums. Yeah.
tambourines or the thing, drum
Yeah.
or whatever. Now those things were there.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure all those are
Gone.
abandoned, found the distant mists of time.
Yes.
Right?
It's sad.
It's very sad because, and also, I think, I don't know, because we have been in Akurana, perhaps by circumstances, we were an isolated community.
Right.
This is just a historical footnote, if you like, a speculative anecdote or whatever.
Comment. Okay.
Right, if you like, or even a mythological
Okay.
statement.
Yeah, okay.
Now, they talk about how the Portuguese,
Yeah.
when they came to Colombo, port,
Yeah.
as conquerors,
Yeah.
they hated the Muslims because they were having the Arabs and the Portuguese fighting in the Mediterranean and Red Sea area, South of
Yeah.
Arabian Sea. and all. So they hated the Moors. This is nothing directly to do with Akurana,
Yeah.
but little detailing. When they came to Colombo, they found a whole lot of Moors,
Yeah.
Muslims.
Yeah.
So these Moors, what they did was, they confined the Moors to one street. You guys stay there, you can't go out, like a curfew if you like.
Yeah.
So that street is called Mauros Strada. Portuguese Strada means street. Even if you go to Germany or someplace, Strada is a common thing. Or Spain. Mauros stands for Moors.
Okay.
So Moor Street, Mauros Strada became Moor Street.
Okay.
Even now you find the Moor Street. Then we tried, that was insufficient for the Moors. So they added another street. So the old Moor Street and a new Moor Street.
Okay.
That's the history of that Inpeta if you go now.
Right, right.
Right, anyway, that's a byproduct.
Yeah.
So the effect of this Portuguese having impacted the lives of the Muslims was that the Muslims of Colombo, some of them, they went off and sought refuge in the Kenyan kingdom. Historically, they were Raja, they mentioned somewhere. Dr. Lama.
Yeah.
Anyway, they went into, and it says, in the mythology, that the Arabs who went there got married to local Ceylonese ladies, and they were given a land. And it looks plausible because you find this Akurana in the midst of non-Muslim, it's circumscribed by non-Muslims. But the great thing is, these Muslims who went there, by their good behavior, had a very cordial relationship with the non-Muslims.
Right.
Even today, I think that cordiality exists.
Right.
But I am sure the people who led the community at that time were very wise people. They may not have a degree in something, sociology or whatever, but they were very wise because they practiced Islam without any problem. But they interrelated with the others also in a very cordial, compassionate way. Anyway, so getting back to my youthful days,
Yes.
young days.
Yes.
So from studying at the government school there, perhaps I must have been the youngest boy in that school because there were some fellows who were having beards more or less
Okay.
in my class.
Right. Right.
And I was getting bullied by them left, right and center because they were just too big for me.
Okay.
But
Okay.
nonetheless it lasted.
Okay.
And I must have been fairly reasonably clever because the headmaster at that time, I don't know whether you call it headmasters or principal, I think it was
Yeah.
headmaster, told my father, let this boy sit a scholarship exam. But they now call 5th standard exam. So I did sit that and I was successful. But one little story that I heard at that time, it didn't impact on me at that time, but later I realized the importance. The teacher and the principal would say, let this boy sit. He fails, it doesn't matter, he can go and do some business or the other. So, contrary to their belief, I passed the exam and I was given offer of a scholarship to one of the schools, and that came along was St. Anthony's College at Portugal. I went on there when I was hardly 10 years. So that was the bullock cart period of my
Okay.
life.
Yeah, okay.
Lately, my father had a bicycle.
Motorbicycle or
No.
push bike?
Push bike. Motorbike for the very affluent.
Okay.
I think planters and all
Yeah,
those
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
He would teach me to ride the bike. So in the night, I used to go fall many times. There are various others who helped me to learn how to ride a bike. And finally, I mastered that. Must have been 11 years,
So
10 years.
it would have been difficult in Melchena.
Not Melchena, we had to get to the main road.
Okay, exactly. Yeah.
Kalambu Mathalia road.
Yeah, yeah.
There is no road anywhere near the.
It was not road at that time in Melchena. It just walk
The one
path.
road was coming from Katigasuni.
That was the only road.
Yeah.
There was no Blugotana road. There is no Kurugoda road.
Oh, that came much later. Much.
So, but they had distilled the path.
Paths, yes.
Okay.
I told you that we used to have steps.
Yes. Yes.
That was the path.
Okay. Right.
Subsequently, now even I remember when we got married and took my wife and her mother
Yeah.
to Akurana,
Yeah.
we had to get up and walk, and they are not used to this.
Okay. Okay.
So for them it's a novel experience.
Yes,
But now we can drive and
Yeah,
take
yes,
the car almost
yes, yeah.
up to, exactly up to the
Yeah.
doorstep.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
progress or, I
Okay.
don't know whether you call it progress, but change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like I'm very reluctant to say that something is progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's change.
Yeah, it's
Whether good
natural
or bad
progress,
is
yeah.
future to decide.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I started there.
Yeah. So let's go back to your Anthony. So you finish with A level.
Those days there was no A level.
Yeah.
It was called the SSC,
Yeah.
that is Senior School Certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a first division.
Yeah.
The college I had won so many different prizes. I was quite good in mathematics,
Yeah.
physics, rhetorical contests,
Okay.
writing essays in English,
Right.
all sorts of, variety of. And the great thing is, no tuition whatsoever then. Now I think even the kindergarten they give tuition.
Yeah.
In Sri Lanka
Yes,
it is
yes.
a notorious
Yes, yes.
subject, Free education,
Yeah.
theoretically, practice, you are having education by entrepreneurs. Free education,
Yes, yes.
tuition.
Yeah.
Tuition teaching is entrepreneurship of
Yeah.
the education
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
So that was that. St. Anthony's, having done all that. Then I said, normally you take 2 years to do what is now the equivalent of the advanced level. That was called HSC, High School Certificate, and University Entrance Exam, UE,
Okay.
from the same paper. not the same paper, but you sit and virtually the same paper comes up for the HS if you go and sit at the same place. So I did this HSC in 1 year instead of 2 years. So there again I was quite successful. I got passes in 2 mathematics subjects, applied mathematics and pure mathematics. But I was not good in chemistry and physics.
Okay.
So I sat the next year and chosen for engineering. We had, I think, 27 of us in the whole country. We chosen for engineering at that time.
Which university was it?
University of Ceylon.
Yeah.
There was no Wisdemy, no Colombo separated. It was located in Colombo.
Okay.
But when we started, I think the Wisdemy arts faculty had just about got there.
So what was the year, this one?
1954.
Okay.
I left St. Anthony's in 1954.
Yeah.
Finished schooling end of 53, exam was in 53, 54, exam results, and middle of the year, university, of the interviews and so on.
Okay.
You know, those days we had to face survival of state test.
Yeah.
Pure Latin, Viva, OK test.
Yeah.
Right? So, incidentally I had to study Latin also.
Yeah.
You know, Latin, Tamil, I was pretty good in Tamil.
Okay.
But after my SSC, it was a full stop, no Tamil after
Yeah.
that. Otherwise, I would have been pretty good as an author or something in Tamil language.
Right.
You know, because the Jaffna Tamil teachers used to praise me for ability to talk very pure Tamil.
Right.
The pronunciation and so on. Anyway, that's a a side note. And so that was that. So University, St. Anthony's was a pretty good thing for a village boy to come and shine there. I was made a prefect, school prefect. In those days there were no something, house prefect or all those categorization. You get prefect, and there are about 8 of us. So that was that. Then university life, 4 years in Colombo.
Yeah.
Finished that, got a degree in engineering. Then immediately I got a posting with the Ceylon Electricity Board. At that time, the government department of electrical undertaking.
Right.
You know? Posted to 1958, okay? 1958, 1956, even 1956, there was this problem of the animosity, if you like, to the Tamils, which engendered certain problems for them. So the Tamil students who passed out with me were reluctant to go as far up as Lakabana and all. I said no problem. So I was posted there. I had a very good time there.
Yeah.
For 3 years.
Right.
There. 3 years, that is distribution of electricity plus generation in the generating station there. And then we had to sit the exam for the UK exam. So I sat 1959, I passed that. So they awarded me a degree called DEE, Diploma in Electrical Engineering. Earlier one was BSc Engineering, that's it, was a 4-year course. So those 2 degrees. And then subsequently I had to become a member of the Institution of Electrical Engineers UK. Currently I'm a fellow, that's the highest level. In the local engineering institution, also I'm a fellow of the council and all that sort of thing. So I'm pretty active on the professional side from then onwards. And even once I got posted to Colombo, or even Laksapana, I was very much into community service.
Yeah.
And we had a unusual thing, we got a small projector, cinema projector, 16 millimeter, not the standard 35 millimeter. 16 millimeter. We used to get down films. As young engineers, we used to do that.
Okay.
And project for the village people.
Okay.
And
so in the meantime, you get married.
I got married in 1962.
So how did that happen? Was it a proposal?
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Proposal.
Right.
But, that's again a very peculiar thing, because when I was a student, in the university, I was living in various boarding houses.
Yes.
So there was one gentleman who I met somewhere. He was a lawyer. He took a house in Flower Road.
In Colombo.
Flower Road, which belonged to another Muslim family called Sali. I was one of the very first people who entered that boarding house. The large ambling house, so many people in Flower Road. Right? And we were there. Now this gentleman, the lawyer, he knew me, and when I passed out, he proposed his niece should get married. They introduced her.
Right.
So,
Sent a broker.
well, I don't know whether they call a broker. They went direct to my father.
Okay. Right.
And, that itself would have been a major historic event for them because they had to climb all the way up to
To meet your father.
Yes, to meet my father.
Yeah. Right.
And those days we had no telephones.
Yeah.
So there was no way of
You
getting a
just have
message
to go.
across.
Yeah.
And these two, these gentlemen, the lawyer gentleman and my father-in-law,
Yeah.
they walked them all the way up.
Yeah.
Even now I smile at my wife and say, this is how we got fixed.
Okay.
So that was
So that is how it happened. And then your parents liked the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course there were some people in Akurana who had complained to my father, what is this, you have gone and given your son to somebody in Colombo, you should have got him married in Akurana.
Yeah.
These are cultural
Yes.
things. But my father had
Aspirations.
aspirations in one way, another way. I don't know. He was different from the traditional. He was traditionalist himself.
Yeah.
But certain things he will go outside the box.
Right.
So
So how did, again, if you don't mind, could you continue? So did you went and saw the future wife? So
yes.
Okay. Some people in those days they don't go and see.
I
they
came from Lakhavana,
Okay.
Bridge.
Yeah. So you went to Colombo.
I would drive up my car.
Right.
I had a huge big six-cylinder car.
Okay.
As a young little Korean of 20.
Recent graduate. Yeah.
One year later, I had bought a car.
Under 30.
Under 25.
Okay.
20, I was just about 25
Right.
when I bought that car. And I used to drive that home to Akurana,
Yeah.
as well as to Colombo when I got this friend.
Yeah.
Come and see this lady in Dollar Street. They used to be very nice.
You said okay.
We got along, okay, fine. And we've been getting along since then.
For the last 50 years or more.
More than 50 years.
60.
Yeah, no, 1962 I got married.
Okay. Right.
So that would be 60, just a shade under 60, 50 years.
Yeah.
So,
Congratulations.
Alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
that ever thankful to Allah.
Yes.
That blessings.
Blessings, yeah. Right.
So that.
Right.
So then, in the CEB, a very peculiar thing, I was just one Muslim engineer in a group of about 50. There were two of us. One chap was in war,
Yeah.
myself.
Right.
Somehow I had a perfect relationship with the non-Muslims.
Right.
Buddhists, Christians, Hindus, all of them.
Right.
So they chose me to be one of their leaders, if you like, in the engineers union, which can strike if necessary, but be a little more responsible than that.
Right.
And I was the secretary of that for quite some years.
Yes.
So that was confidence they had in the Muslims.
Exactly.
They would think of that.
Right.
The culture had changed so badly. The whole Sri Lankan, if you like, ethos has changed so much
Yeah.
that everything is now hinged on
Ethnicity.
ethnicity is one thing, and even within the ethnicity, the subdivisions of the Buddhists, they have this caste and that caste.
Yes.
Hindus similarly.
So your wedding,
Yeah.
was it a big wedding function?
It was in Colombo.
It was in Colombo.
Yes.
Not in Akurana.
No, Akurana homecoming.
Yeah.
That was also local people whom
Yeah.
I knew, and my father's relatives, other
Yeah.
people, there were some Malawi's.
Yeah.
Those days they were called Malawi's. Ajars, very few, very few
Yeah, yeah.
Ajars.
Yeah.
So it was, shall we say, they would call them Alim Sahib,
Yeah.
also. So
Also,
that's how things
yeah.
have changed.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, culture itself is a moving thing.
Yes, yes.
Change.
Yeah.
Now, one aspect I used to give as an example. I was called Kaka. I was the eldest in the
Yeah.
family. My other
Yeah.
brothers called Kaka. I used to call my aunt's sons as Kaka.
Mm.
Once we went to Colombo, my sisters now used to call me Nana.
Yeah.
Why? Because they felt that this Nana is a
Fashionable,
word,
yeah.
a fashionable thing.
Yeah.
Later they realized people from Gaul always say Kaka.
Okay. okay. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that's a very tiny example.
Yeah.
How culture changes with circumstances.
Yes, yes.
Say, you don't say machi, you say mine.
Mine. Yes, yes.
Right?
Yes,
So
that's
those-
an obvious one. Yes, yes.
Possibly the changes will be a little more drastic in the years to come.
Yeah.
If there is a slow, gradual, linear change, if you like,
Yeah.
over the last century.
Yeah.
Now you could have an upward trend,
Yeah.
rapid change.
Exactly.
Now
The
that-
current change is really rapid.
Yes, but that is very dangerous.
Yes.
Because there's nothing to hang on to. If you slip, there's nothing to hang on to.
Yeah.
But that condition is missing. That opportunity for gathering together, to mingling with each other, interchanging ideas, even begging
Mm.
for something.
Mm.
Those opportunities are now
Mm.
very much
Mm.
missing.
Yeah.
That is how we are encountering with various outsiders. Good or for bad, Allah for
Mm. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah. Let's go back again. So when you grew up,
Yeah.
when you were like 3, 5, 7 year old, what was it like in regards to wedding functions in Akurana? Do you remember?
Yes, very much.
Are they big functions?
You see, wedding functions were, if you like, more elaborate than a Kandiri function. Kandiri, we used to have, say, recital.
Yeah.
You would sit round
Yeah.
and you recite something, maybe
Yeah.
an Maulud, maybe whatever,
Yeah.
or Yasin Kitab, you are reciting. Then you gather into
Yeah.
groups of five persons each.
Yeah.
You put a sahan,
Yes.
come and put, and you eat,
Yeah.
communal feeding. if you
Yes.
like.
Mm.
Wedding function is similar to that, except that it is a little more elaborate. Mahpula comes and he is,
Some sort of festive feeling as well.
yeah. All sorts
I
of-
hear that there was concerts in some houses.
Yeah, they put in band, like music band
Yeah.
from a temple, a Tamil Hindu temple.
Right.
Yeah, they beat the drums
Yeah.
and they have this veena and all those instruments.
Yeah.
They are actually performing some musical thing.
Tamil songs or whatever.
Hindi. Then the gramophone was the other major
Okay.
device connected with the wedding.
Okay.
They have 78 RPM records.
Uh-huh.
Generally, some film songs would be, they would play that.
Right.
Then the latter part, say, maybe there was 15, 18, something like that. Loudspeakers and amplifiers were introduced.
Yes.
Before that, there was nothing called a loudspeaker.
Okay.
So they would put that in a wedding house and they play all sorts of records and
Yeah.
music,
Okay.
things like that. So that is the advancement of
Yeah.
culture.
Okay.
Weddings were that. But I also heard, I have not seen this,
Yeah.
that the Mapula,
Yeah.
prestigious Mapula,
Yeah.
goes on a horseback to the bride's house.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So
On
they hire a
horseback.
horse.
They
Yeah.
hired a horse from somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the bridegroom must be nervous like anything.
Yeah.
But he was riding his horse and going. And
Okay.
maybe
In Arab countries, still they do.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe so that's
Yeah.
because my thesis is, or my speculation is
Yeah.
that we are descended from Oman
Yeah.
and Yemen.
Yes.
There you find this. No?
Yes.
My parent, my father, and
Yeah.
certain other people of that age.
Okay.
I remember having a belt,
Yeah.
very broad belt,
Yeah.
to all the surrounding place with little pockets on the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
I have seen the identical stuff in Oman.
Okay.
And they used to have a knife. The Omanis
Yes.
have a knife.
Okay.
Tiny
Yeah.
little.
Yeah. Yeah. Our people also had
Had that knife.
Had that
My
knife,
father
yeah.
had the little hook and they
Yeah.
had a knife.
So they, interestingly, they wear sarang
Yes.
and then wear the belt.
That they were on top of the sun. So that same technology,
Right,
if you like,
right.
technology or
Yeah.
culture
Yeah. Yeah.
in Yemen and Oman.
Yeah. So they
So
have
now
Mm.
you can see that in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I remember seeing it in Oman, Muscat. Yeah.
So that they used to have some sort of a little recital, again, religious thing, maybe they will recite the Fatiha and at the end say dua after the
Tying the thali or
yeah. Thali was after the actual wedding ceremony,
Okay.
wedding, if you like,
yeah.
the religious wedding ceremony,
Mm.
the khatib for the elderly, gives the girl in
Yeah,
marriage,
yeah.
all the girl's father.
Yeah, the official
Yeah.
activities. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
the official
Yeah.
activity. Then they will recite something.
Mm.
And after that, the bridegroom goes and puts a tali on the neck of the
Mm.
bride. But after the Western people got into this country and home,
Yeah.
money becomes the standard for everything. Money.
Yeah.
So you count in rupees and cents or even now dollars and Saudi riyals and UAE stuff and so on, Singapore dollars and so on.
Mm.
Earlier, there used to be economic activity,
Yeah.
but not based on money.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just speculating that this is what actually transpired. Because I heard of people say cultivating something. When they had to harvest it, the neighbors come and help. And the reverse takes place when the other guy is harvesting, this man goes and helps. There were no monetary exchange, if you like, in kind.
Yeah. In kind
In
exchange,
kind.
some sort of barter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in some ways, yes.
Mm. So even I remember like another brother who told stories about exchanging curries. Having cooked,
Yes.
you cook something for lunch
Yes.
and then you share that with your neighbor.
That's right.
So that you have seen all that,
Oh yes.
right?
My mother
Yeah.
always would do that.
Right.
Some person who comes to the house,
Yeah.
immediately she will serve something and give it to us. There is no asking,
Mm.
are you hungry? Did you have any lunch? Nothing.
Right.
Just come.
Right.
That's it.
There was also, I hear that there was abundance despite.
Well,
Yeah.
when we were growing up, when I was say 7, 8, that sort of time, when the war hit
Yeah.
everything. So there were times when rice is the staple of Akurana.
Mm.
Rice.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
has to have rice. So we didn't have rice.
Right.
So we had to use what they godambuma, that is wheat flour. From somewhere it comes, maybe America or wherever, because the shipping was also on the danger. So occasionally you get some of that. And we would make, my mother used to make roti. The rare occasion when we had rice was a major event.
Right.
Right. That was the problems we faced because of this war.
Okay. Now you are working in the Electricity Board. So what are some of the progresses that you made in your job?
Oh, my job. I do a variety of engineering and non-engineering, if you like, aspects of running a major government utility. In 1966, I was specializing in a particular type of communications. which use the power lines, the major power lines, to communicate between various power stations and so on. So I went in to study this particular subject in a place called Baden in Switzerland, close to Zurich. That was in 1966. It was a short 3-month period, but I gained quite a lot during that period, plus of course the exposure to a
foreign country,
not
particularly
only
Western
just for
country.
me, it's a very novel country, very different from most other countries, including Sri Lanka, in terms of society, but in terms of, if you like, the nature of the country is similar to Sri Lanka, except that Sri Lanka is much warmer, but otherwise very similar.
Yes.
Anyway, I specialized in that particular branch and came back and went on to develop certain things in there. Then the government and World Bank influences converted this government department into a board or a corporation, government corporation. That was the Ceylon Electricity Board in 1969, end of 1969. Then in 1970, I went again to Switzerland for another 3-month course on a more advanced system, same systems, power system, communication. On that occasion, another 3 months. Very, very useful and very relevant experience for me.
Right. Well, I'm just wondering why Switzerland. Maybe they have hydraulic system as well?
Well, they have hydroelectricity. It's a very peculiar system because when the winter months come, you find massive amounts of snow, and they exploit that for skiing. They're very famous for skiing.
Even in the summer they have snow.
Very high mountains they have that. But during the winter, snow accumulates. Then in the summer, all those snow melting comes down the river, and they use that flowing water to generate electricity. And they have a very complex, even at that time, very complex interlink between Switzerland, France, Germany, Spain, Austria, Italy, all these countries were linked up, and they had interchange of buying and selling of electricity. Mind you, 1966.
Exactly.
Long before the present day system. Now I know my daughter in London buys electricity from Electricité de France. That is a company in France. She buys electricity from them. So it's a total ball game altogether from what it is in Sri Lanka. Here we do everything by ourselves.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, let's let's talk about travel in those years. In 1966, so what airline was it did you fly?
Oh.
Do you remember?
Air
did
Ceylon.
We have Air Ceylon Airlines?
At that time there was a thing called Air Ceylon.
Right.
That was, one of the unique features of Air Ceylon was just world #1 lack of any accident.
The lowest number of accidents
was Air Ceylon.
Right. It's a Qantas. I know Australian Qantas kind of has that reputation. But
Air Ceylon also had that same thing.
Right.
No accidents whatsoever.
Right.
So Air Ceylon.
That was your first overseas trip?
No, 1963, I had gone to India.
Right.
There again, it's a bit of an unusual thing. I don't know whether it happens now. We as government servants are entitled to railway warrants.
Yes.
Traveling.
Yes.
You can convert the railway warrant to fly on Air Ceylon.
Okay.
Now, Air Ceylon used to fly to Trivandrum. Took my family, my wife and 2 small children. And we flew and took a train to Madras, all on the government warrant.
Because you were a government servant.
Government servant at that
It's not only for you, including your family.
I think this was introduced at the time of the British.
Yes.
This system, so that they could all get these perks. Anyway, that was first time I was flying. Of course, I had flown internally between Colombo and Ampara.
As well?
Yeah.
So that was in a small helicopter.
1959, Dakota. It was called Dakota. It was a horrible
experience.
Even now I think of the that, we could have crashed.
Exactly, yeah.
Very
yeah.
bad, ups and downs, everything, and we are flying possibly 200 or 300 yards above the ground.
Okay. You survived.
We survived.
Right.
Yeah, that.
Okay, so now I also hear that you went to Malawi.
Yes,
to
that
work.
was
So
subsequently
like,
1976.
let's talk about that.
Now, I tell you what, I used to lecture after my in electrical engineering and certain right subjects at Akurana University College.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's in Colombo.
Colombo.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to lecture and they used to pay me.
Yeah.
Now those days as a government servant also I had to pay income tax.
Right.
So you work out the income tax each year and
Yeah.
fill up the form and so on. One year when I worked it out, I suddenly realized that the income I am getting by lectures is effectively zero because I am paying the government. That extra income goes to increase my income tax.
Okay.
So effectively,
You are not getting anything.
Yeah, I was doing nothing. So I was thinking, what on earth is this?
Mm.
And then there was this opportunity came. Yeah, my particular experience, expertise, I studied in Switzerland, in modern Switzerland, came in very useful. They were looking for, Malawi, they were looking for somebody with this particular expertise. And they spotted me somewhere and offered me a job. I had to go there for interview.
Right.
In Malawi.
Interview is in Malawi.
Interview is in Malawi. So I had to take leave from here with all manner of excuses why I am leaving the country for overseas. Because those days we had to, as a government official, we had to do that.
Yeah.
And anyway, I did that. They offered me the job.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to relocate.
With family.
With the family because I didn't want to leave them here. So myself, wife, 3 children, we relocated in 1974, end of 1974. And we had a marvelous time, 6 whole years, 2 contracts. In between we had a long holiday, some 5 months holiday back home, going to various places. Took the children to UK, various countries. First Umrah was performed with the children, all that in that period. And it was a wonderful country, is similar. They also grow tea and so on, like in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And the whole expatriate community of Sri Lankans there.
Right.
Similar-minded people, families getting together, and enjoying weekends and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, some of them say the best time of their year, the life was there.
In Malawi. Mm.
It's everything well done together,
Okay. After all, you have good perks. It is highly paid.
Yeah,
Well looked
reasonably
after.
well paid.
Yeah.
You have a very good potential for saving. Education for the children was good because it was a British school,
Yes.
run by British teachers and so on, and British exams. And so on. So that all those came out very nicely. So came back and I did various companies started and so on.
Okay.
Then progressed that way. I was a consultant, I was a company director, company chairman, all sorts of things. And 2002, I think it was 2002, I was offered post of vice chairman Ceylon Electricity Board. That's the company where I had worked earlier. Then after about 4 months, the chairman said, I can't have you this anymore. And the minister appointed me as the chairman of the. But there till there was a change of government, then you pack your bags and go home in the traditional Sri Lankan style.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
But it was an experience. Yeah.
But my, if you like, passion was to run the Muslim Ladies Arabic College at Kalil.
Yeah.
I was
So
on
you're,
the board. I returned to the country from Malawi in 1980.
yeah.
About 83 or 84, they somehow by accident or otherwise, they nominated me to the board of the
Yeah.
college. And since then I have been there. And after about, I think 10 years or 8 years, the people who were the president passed away and others appointed me, and since then I have been going on.
Okay.
I Alhamdulillah, I'm quite proud to say that we have expanded the school, our infrastructure has increased tremendously, and there are so many girls who have been sent abroad for higher education. We have about, I think 50 or more, I can't remember the exact figure, graduates from overseas.
Right.
So on. And so many graduates locally too. It's a college where all the girls live inside.
Yes.
Whichever part of the country they come from, they live there. Their tuition, their food, everything is inside.
So it's a scholarship program?
There are certain people, they pay, say, about 60%, 55 to 60% of the expenses, balance, from our resources.
Right.
We have bought over the years properties which generate income, and then we use that.
Right.
Out of, say, about 850 who are there now, about 75 are orphans.
Okay.
100% orphans. There are some girls who don't have a family, no one family.
Not at all. Right.
No uncle, no aunt, nobody. There are some girls who didn't even know who their mother and father was, with abandoned children.
Yeah.
And we used to have a policy that any Muslim girl referred to by court, immediately we take them without looking at the antecedents.
Okay.
So that's my current do, if you like.
Very nice to talking to you. I think we are almost finishing. Okay, now you see the generation you grew up. Of course, you had all these issues, but you also had these privileges. Like very few people got educated. Whoever got some qualifications were almost guaranteed to get a job. But present day, it's very highly competitive market. So for the young generation, current generation, what advice you have?
Well, the thing that I would like to say is, employment is an essential feature of life. You must be employed, either self-employed or with somebody else. Right. Now, there is a tendency for most people in Sri Lanka to look to the government to provide employment. That's the background. Right? What I say is, each person can make an effort at employment. Maybe you do something on your own. Maybe you do entrepreneurship. Right? Now, I did that long after I had passed out, gone to Malawi and come back. I did a pioneering industry. Hard work, but you can do it, okay? Initially you think, most often, this is what I have come across, both at Kalilia and the CEB, you start on something and you feel straight away, how can I get the money? And you immediately censor yourself. You put, don't, negative. No, my thinking is, don't worry about the money. Do the project, evaluate the thing as much as possible, then look for money. I'll give you one example. There was one young fellow who had this bright idea, possibly he copied from Uber in the US and various other countries. Yeah? He arranges for people who have cars, who have spare time with the car, to hire it out. So his effective action is, person wants to go by car, there is a fellow with a car somewhere, put them together. He gets paid a certain percentage of the fare. But you have to set it up, you got to manage. He prepared that, he didn't have money. If he had said I had no money and gave it up, that would have been dead and gone. But now it is a very prominent thing called pick me. It's very effective. Okay. He went to somebody and said, look, this is what I have. What do you think? That fellow said, very good idea.
I will fund.
Yeah,
okay, I will finance.
Do it this way. You have to do. So Alhamdulillah, it's going on for the last 5 years or 6 years, I don't know how many. But that is just an example I'm taking. I'm not saying that everybody should start this thing. But there are so many things you can do. You have to look out for what you have. Then the employment becomes, then there is another aspect to this employment business. You are employed by somebody else. That fellow is always going to pay you less than your worth. It's a fundamental.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because he has to make money out
Yes.
of you, so
Yeah.
he's paying you less than what you're worth.
Yeah.
Now, if you are clever enough, if you are entrepreneurship oriented, you
will
can
be-
earn for
yeah.
yourself, inclusive of the
Yes.
profit that person gives. And so anyway, that's just a
Yeah.
philosophical
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
rather
yeah.
than
Yeah.
genuine, straightforward, hands-on.
Okay.
There are so many things they can do, and especially the Muslim community has an entrepreneurship, tradition.
Yeah.
You see now, so many of my people who were with me when I was young, they took to business,
Yeah.
trading, simple things like they will go and collect some, say, areca nut from somewhere, go to some other place, take it and go and bargain with that fellow, sell it. That fellow himself, he will send it to Colombo or some such place. So that supply chain
chain,
system
yeah,
is there,
yeah.
but you are in that supply chain.
Yeah.
If you grumble and say, I've got a degree, I can't do anything,
Exactly. Yeah.
it will never work.
You
So
just
that
go
is
to
the
do
advice I can
something,
give
yeah.
others. Because I have gone through that path
Yes,
and I know what
okay,
it is.
yeah.
But hard work is the essence.
Essence. Okay, I think that is a good concluding point. Thank you so much, Mr. Zubair. So you have lived a whole lot of life, and wish you all the best.
Inshallah.
Keep you going.
Just as
Inshallah.
on a sort of, if you like, jovial note, I may say that recently somebody asked me how old I am.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that was asked about 2 years ago. 86, at that time 84. You are 84, who can't say you are 84? Then I said, you know what? I aim to be 110. Right?
Yes.
I said, if there is a will, there is a way. It's possible. There are people who
Yes.
have.
Yes.
So the purpose is not actually the number of years you are going to live, what you are going to do with your life.
Yes.
If you become a cabbage,
Yeah.
if you become vegetable,
Yeah.
then you are a bloody nuisance to everybody around.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
But if you can be active,
Yeah.
mentally and physically,
Yeah.
so much you can do,
Yeah.
so much you can contribute.
Contribute. Yeah.
Maybe others, you might find that there is nobody of your vintage, of your age, who is around to talk to. But still you can, contribute something. If nothing else, write something or, whatever.
Yeah.
So that would be the advice I can give. Inshallah, that's all what I can say.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wonderful. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.